Standing near the pagan temples of Caesarea Philippi, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter boldly replied, "You are the Son of the living God." The disciples were probably stirred by the contrast between Jesus, the true and living God, and the false hopes of the pagans who trusted in dead gods. Jesus continued, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." Matthew 16:13-20. Caesarea Philippi, the gates of hell, or the city of pagans. Caesarea Philippi, which stood in a lush area near the foot of Mount Hermon, was a city dominated by immoral activities and pagan worship. Caesarea Philippi stood only 25 miles from the religious communities of Galilee, but the city's religious practices were vastly different from those of the nearby Jewish towns. In Old Testament times, the northeastern area of Israel became a center for Baal worship. In the nearby city of Dan, Israelite King Jeroboam built the high places that angered God and eventually led the Israelites to worship false gods. Eventually, worship of the Baals was replaced with worship of Greek fertility gods. Caesarea Philippi became the religious center for worship of the Greek god Pan. The Greek named the city Panias in his honor. Because Arabic has no equivalent for the letter P, the name Panias for Pan has morphed into Banias, the name that exists today. To the pagan mind, the cave at Caesarea Philippi created a gate to the underworld, where fertility gods lived during the winter. They committed detestable acts to worship these false gods. The cave and spring at water at Caesarea Philippi created a gate to the underworld. They believed that their city was literally at the gates of the underworld, the gates of hell, the gates of Hades. In order to entice the return of their god Pan, each year, the people at Caesarea Philippi engaged in horrible deeds, including prostitution and sexual interaction between humans and goats. The presence of the spring forming the large stream called the Panias River fit well with the belief that the fertility god provides water. Its sudden emergence from the ground of the floor of the cliff, a long rock face more than 100 feet high, supported the pagan belief that the gods went to the underworld, the Hades, and re-emerged each year. Originally, the spring gushed from the large cave, probably persuading the people of the area that the cave provided an entrance to the underworld itself. An earthquake in the 19th century collapsed the roof of the cave, and the water now gushes from the cliff below the cave. Josephus described the cave as a deep cavern filled with water, the bottom which no one had ever reached. The water from the spring may have been collected first in a sacred lake before it flowed west, joining with two other spring-fed streams to become the Jordan River. A natural terrace against the cliff was the platform for the Temple of Pan. The opening to the right of the cave is cut into the rock and leads to a niche in which an idol stood. This niche was probably in a sacred area and allowed the priests to engage in ritualistic water ceremonies. The entire area covered more than 3,000 square yards. In the cliff face to the right of the opening are more niches to house the statues of gods. Herod also built a white temple nearby to honor the Roman Emperor Augustus. Herod the Great's son, Philip, established it as the capital of his territory and named it Caesaria to honor the Emperor of Rome. It became a large, flourishing Roman city. It was known as Caesarea Philippi to distinguish it from other cities with the same name. During the time of Christ, there were 5 main areas of worship to false gods that took place here. Herod the Great built a temple right at the mouth of this huge spring to honor Augustus Caesar, a courtyard area to the worship of Pan, a temple dedicated to the false god Zeus, an upper tomb temple of the dancing goats, a lower tomb temple of the dancing goats. It was a worldwide gathering place of worship to numerous false gods. It was literally considered the gate of the underworld or Hades by the known world at the time. Children would be thrown alive into the entrance to the cave as a sacrifice to the god of Pan, believing this would appease the gods and bring fertility to their crops. Some even believed that men would mate with goats in the courtyard of Pan, and on the tomb temples in ritualistic fertility acts, believing this would help their crops. They would also have goats mating with goats as well as in these areas. It was a sick cesspool of evil and represented the worst Satan and sinful humanity could offer. The disciples were very uncomfortable coming to this eerie, demonic, dark place, and no good Jew would have even considered coming here. The tomb temple of the sacred goats. This building was erected around 220 CE in the days of Emperor Elagabalus. The bones of the goats that took part in the rituals were buried in the rectangular niches in the main hall, together with offerings of pottery, glass, vessels, and coins. The rituals were conducted on the roof in front of the rock-graved niche. On a Panias city coin at the top of this text, Pan appears playing the flute and making the goat dance. Now let's go back to the sacred niches. Adjacent to the sacred cave is a rocky escarpment with a series of hewn niches. It is known that statues of deities were placed in these niches by depictions on coins of the city. One niche hold or house a sculpture of Echo. That's why we have the word Echo now when we're going to the cave. The mountain nymph and Pan's consort. Another niche housed a statue of Pan's father. His name is Hermes, the son of nymph Maya. Inscriptions in the niches mention those who gave large donations. Also they found 44 hoarded gold coins in this site. The gates of hell will not prevail against Christ's church. Matthew 16:18. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Christ purposefully took his disciples to this evil pagan place to show them that his church would be so powerful that the gates of hell wouldn't be able to prevail or stand against it. Gates were used in the ancient world for defensive purposes. They were used to keep an enemy from entering a certain place. This means that the church is on the offense and the gates of hell will not be able to withstand its entry and power. Contrary to what some might believe, this church is not on defense in stationary mode, standing its ground. God has designed His church to be in the world but not of it. This means we should be involved in influencing the world for Christ, not retreating and hiding from it. Christ wants His church involved in society and reaching every hidden corner of it for Him. From Caesarea Philippi, Jesus began His journey to Jerusalem to be crucified. Christ teaches about the commitment level He demands from the disciples of His church. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will profit of man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? For the Son of Man is going to come with his angels in the glory of his Father, and then He will repay each person according to what he has done. Hope you like this video. Please help me by subscribing and sharing it to your loved ones. Share the good vibes, and see you on my next video. Bye!